So what you're seeing here, Lynn, is I'm actually testing to see the different distances, right? So, because dogs have this hierarchy of needs, so they have safety, comfort, acquisition. So there's a point, and I had to kind of see where it was. Good girl. So there's a point, 9, where she feels unsafe, and that was kind of where she was like trying to get away, right? So it's like, where kind of was it? That's why I kind of moved diagonally as well. So I needed to see where is the distance where she went from uncomfortable, which is this, to unsafe. That's what I'm trying to get at. Good girl. Because as you can see, good girl, Mags, it's not about what Maggie's doing, right? Because, good girl. Because Maggie's being Maggie, right? She's either paying attention or not. She was laying down, she was barking, she was not barking, all that sort of stuff. And still your dog just responded and reacted. Good girl. There you go. So here, she's she's uncomfortable enough that she's very aware and she's kind of expressing it. But the thing is, she doesn't have to. No. Because what you're seeing is...
Okay.
Good.
It's all right.
That's why I was doing this as well. So I wanted to see how she felt. So here you can see she's not running away. Sure, she doesn't want to be with me, but she's not running away. Her hackles are not up, so she's not as stressed. And this is what I talk about to people with dogs. Like, if you expose them enough, they'll start to see what we call predictability. So they're like, oh yeah, okay, it's a dog. Because here she's a bit more hyper aroused. So she's looking, and she's, good girl. So she's even looking away, and she's gone quiet. But you also need to realize she also has a habit. So dog moves, she barks. So she's not even thinking about it, right? So if I move her when she barks, which I'm not, I'm doing it when she stops. Good girl, come on this way. Yeah, I'll just stay in the shade so we're not heating up. So I'm not moving her away from the dog when she's barking. 9. Because I don't want her to learn barking is what gets you away. You got to understand, barking feels really good. Like at the moment, she's yelling at a dog. 9, who's not doing anything, right? Maggie's just laying there. Stop it. Because this, see the habit? She goes straight back into it. Some people will say to me, yeah, but she's communicating. It's like, what's she communicating? So they'll go, oh, she's fearful. Of what? What is she fearful of? So we talk about like thresholds. So if you're too close to something, a dog doesn't understand it, no, then sure, of course they can bark about it. Problem you're having is there's a very fine line between she's barking because she's a bit fearful or she's barking because it's a habit, and it's very hard to distinguish it. So that's why people will do what we call counter conditioning. Good job. Good job.
Good.
So I'm not trying to condition her to look at you. I'm trying to condition her that you can see the dog, but you don't need to bark. All right, so we'll stop that for now, because this is what I was talking about dosage and value. So popping her on the head isn't as, like, it's not bothering her. She'll happily go through that to still bark at the dog. Right. And that's what makes it so difficult. So this is where I personally start to use remote collars, because I can teach them it's all about you. It's tactile. It's not as harsh, because I don't want her to think, you see, every time I see dogs, my mum tells me also the dogs must be bad, because then she doesn't realize it's her barking. At the same time, so parallel to that, when we're addressing the actual behavior, we also work on the mindset of the dog. So, you know, the bit of fear and the bit of whatever, and uncertainty. So she's anxious. She's like, what's it doing? Like, it's moving. Oh my goodness. Ah! And then she starts to settle, and then Maggie moves again. It's like, ah! So this is actually one of the better exercises to be able to do with them. So what I generally would do, and I would only do this on a day where you're not as stressed. You're gonna have to do them single, because obviously you can see they kind of, good job!
She still worries about the neighbours, the people in the street.
Well, what I would do is good job, puppy. I'd actually go to an enclosed dog park, right? So you have the enclosed dog park, let's say over there, right? Because what you want is you want dogs to be dogs, and you have that barrier, okay? I would bring them out one at a time. Of course, that's going to be difficult for you. The one you leave in the car is going to bark. Luckily, it's near a dog park. People expect it. Then you want to start to gauge that threshold. So you want to be close enough where she's very aware of the dogs, but she has a chance to settle like this. Like this is a lot better than her going that very first. So that's why I was like, I need to bring her. Now a lot of people don't like it, right? They're like, you're distressing the dog. And I'm like, I understand that, but I need to push and see where it is. I need to, you know, it's like when someone has an injury and they need to go, does it hurt here, here, here? No, okay, cool. So assessments is fluid. It's not like one snapshot in time. So if you just take a picture when she's super distressed, but you're not waiting until we work on the resilience part, good job. The thing that makes this harder for you is there's people that just pop out. And every time someone pops out, they trigger her again. So dogs like these are really difficult when they have low thresholds, because it almost seems like they never stop, but they do actually. There was quite a few breaks, but you can see she's caught between this. What's she doing for now? Why is she doing that now? So here she's moving a little bit forward, but she's only willing to go that close. The other thing is she doesn't use her nose, she uses her eyes. That gets them in trouble because she's not getting more information except what she sees. Now, of course, I could force her and I could be like, I'm going to let you sniff that dog. That's way too much for her. Like this, she won't even, she doesn't even want to go 3 meters from Maggie. And Maggie's not aggressive. Maggie is playful. Maggie, good girl, good job. Maggie is sitting down. So proportionally, this is an unrealistic response. So just like with humans, it could be, you know, people. And it's not that she's had a traumatic experience, and this is what I want to clarify. She's never had a, as far as I'm aware, traumatic experience in terms of engagements, right? But sometimes we forget that it's not always about a physical thing that happens, it could be mental. So if I'm super, I'll give you an example. If I'm someone who's naturally more shy, introverted, not really good with learning body language, if I'm really young and you know, I'm trying, like mum just throws me into kindy kind of thing. All I need is that social pressure to be way too much for me to cope with, and then I'm scarred, you know, and then that's what I mean. So a lot of people, when we talk about dogs had a bad experience, doesn't just mean there was an actual fight, okay? So this exercise here is she's getting used to Maggie being Maggie. See the tail wags, 9. So the tail's wagging. So the tail's wagging. 9. So again, we've got, it's a different dog, right? So you've got to generalize it with dogs. 9. And obviously I'm not trying to scar her for life. That's not the point. The point is I'm telling her shush up. And also we're not making eye contact. I don't want to constantly try and to distract her. So when she looks and doesn't bark, now some people use food. That's great if a dog takes food. Some people will say we're still too close. But she's recovering. So you'll see that these periods of quiet. So there's a bit of impulse control. So she's looking, she's like, you can see she's actually trying not to bark. Nice. But also when I go I'm arousing her a little bit, and when I'm arousing her, she's again closer to her threshold. So it's this really like balance. And some dogs are so close to, like when they're doing the right thing, not doing the right thing, doing the right thing, not, it's just So what I would do if I was in your position, and this is where we have that time factor that takes so long, is you're going to have to probably once a day, once every 2 days, because you've got to think of your own mentality as well. You also, you know, stress levels. So you've got to drive down. Now I'm just trying to remember where there is a enclosed dog park around you, and I'm not entirely sure, because I want that barrier where you don't have to worry about the dogs, right? I know there's one in Dinella, for example, which we could try at some point in time, like if you want to do that. So I can work on distance. So, you know, so if there's a good girl, Maggie. So if there's a barrier there, I can go, okay, she's really reactive at around 20 meters, or she's reactive, but as we get closer, she gets worse. So it's like, all right, I bring it a little bit back because we're stressing the nervous system, right? Like you do when you train. So you come back and she's starting to, hey, good job. So people go in, there's just someone walking there with the dog. There's so many triggers in this environment, and she's actually showing really good, very good impulse control, getting used to it. So unfortunately, a lot of people will avoid going out. And the reason for it is because they cannot control the stimulus. You can't tell her, pause, right? That's an untrained dog. Good girl, Mags. But she's got a really nice temperament, which is why I thought she would be a good one. Because yeah, she did bark in the beginning, which was frustration. And she's had like a really terrible time with her health. So she's actually missed a lot of her socialization periods.
Right.
Good girl. And yet, genetically speaking, she's quite stable. Good job, Pup. Either that or she's dumb as a brick. I don't think so. I think she's got really, so she's got a bit normal threshold like yours, like triggered, and then she has that drive where she was barking, but the nerves going back to baseline is a little bit better than yours. So you might find little one over here has a lower threshold than her. That's why it feels like, oh my soul, she's not stopping, but she is. Good girl. Now see how she's aware of her and she's still like a little bit wary? That's okay. That's what we need. So some people here would be like, yep, and they'll give some food, right? So you can do that, but you don't want to rely on food forever.
No, and she isn't into food like Trixie.
Yeah. So this is the more drivey one, right?
Good.